Ugh, that was disappointing. Hi everyone, this is Josh, and today we are going to talk about Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. I'm going to warn everyone now that this is going to be a spoiler review for this film and The Last Jedi, since I need to talk about some very specific things so I can accurately explain my feelings on this interesting film. The Rise of Skywalker was written by Chris Terrio and J.J. Abrams, who directs this film. He also helmed the very first entry in the new trilogy, being The Force Awakens. J.J. did not direct the previous Star Wars film, being The Last Jedi, that was Rian Johnson, although I'm sure part of him wishes he had, since he largely uses Rise of Skywalker to just course correct from that film. The Rise of Skywalker follows Rey, Poe, Finn, and the Rebel forces as they scramble to stop a newly revived Emperor Palpatine and the First Order from forming a new empire. So this was a very disappointing ending to this trilogy. This is definitely the weakest film out of the three, and it's probably the worst Star Wars film since Attack of the Clones. Yes, it is worse than Revenge of the Sith. And I don't think it's necessarily one person's fault. I think Disney as a whole was to blame for not having one singular vision from beginning to end. It's normal to have rewrites, reshoots, and let stories evolve over time, but I feel like Disney couldn't figure out where to go or what to focus on. I think the breaking point truly was The Last Jedi. A lot of people hated that film, hated the direction it went in, and hated Rian Johnson for writing it. One of the biggest criticisms of The Last Jedi, or TLJ, that I do think is merited on some level is how it dropped so many plot lines, characters, and rules that had been established in The Force Awakens. Snoke's backstory is a good example. He's introduced as this main villain at the beginning and then gets killed off pretty unceremoniously in TLJ, making him pretty meaningless. You could also bring up Maz Kanata, who's introduced as this new Yoda-like character in The Force Awakens, and then she just drifts into the background in TLJ. But for all of its many, many faults, I didn't feel like all of TLJ's subversions were necessarily bad choices. It was a breath of fresh air that Rey wasn't tied or related to any particular character from the previous films, which I felt goes to show that anybody can do anything great. Pretty good message, right? I'm also tired of everything always focusing on the Skywalker family. Like, can we focus on someone new? And I thought what Rian Johnson did with Luke's character was bold, making him this bitter Jedi Master at first who comes around at the end and makes the ultimate sacrifice. Yes, TLJ did not accomplish a whole lot and had some really terrible humor, but it did put the franchise in a position where it could easily move away from the old characters and mythos. And I think that's a smart move, because you can't rely on nostalgia forever. Being the great risk takers they are, Disney decided to bring J.J. Abrams back to manufacture this film, a messy conclusion designed to only please people in the most superficial way. J.J. does not attempt to work with what Rian gave him at all. He just retcons a bunch of plot elements, including Rey's backstory, making her the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine, which is a terrible choice given that it's now just being revealed in the final film. I don't like the choice in general, but if you wanted to make it work, you should have introduced it way sooner. JJ moves Rose's character to the background the same way Rian did with Maz Kanata. One of the best parts of TLJ is the Holdo maneuver, where you run a spaceship into another with hyperdrive, and that idea is written off in this film as a 1 in a million shot, even though it's clearly not. It's like JJ is mad at Rian for undermining his film, so he's just going to do the same thing to Rian's film with this new film. Like, what are we accomplishing here? The other function of this film is to throw as much crappy story at you that they can muster, so you don't have enough time to think about what the hell is going on. Every time this film answers a question, it just raises like 3 others. The best example is probably the 2 different MacGuffins, being the Sith Wayfinder and the Sith Blade. They're both designed to help locate the planet of Exegol, where Palpatine is, and I was so lost on why these items were created, when they were created, and who created them. Also, how in the world is Palpatine alive, bro? How?
How, Sway?
He got thrown into a f***ing nuclear reactor. The only explanation we get is a conversation in which Palpatine tells Kylo that the dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities, some considered to be unnatural. There's also an offhand comment from Dominic Monaghan about cloning or something. It's honestly just really lazy writing. And I think that ties pretty well into the next thing that doesn't make any sense, being the thousands of massive Star Destroyers that pop up out of the ground on the planet of Exegol. They're all equipped with a weapon that has the ability to take out planets in the same way the Death Star does. And all I could think the entire time was, how in the world did Palpatine or anyone build all of this? I guess I'll never know, because the film never even bothered to tell me. It's safe to say that JJ and Chris Terrio probably shoehorned this massive fleet into the script so they could have an epic galactic space battle at the end, just like Return of the Jedi does. This film just throws a bunch of ridiculous fan service nonsense at you in hopes that you're just going to accept it. One of the best things about this trilogy by far has been the dynamic between Rey and Kylo. And I think in this film there are 2 decent scenes with those characters, but everything kind of gets ruined at the end when Kylo brings Rey back from the dead and they kiss. Like, I understand that they have a connection, but I don't think it's meant to be romantic. Is it strong enough that it compels Rey to ignore all the terrible things that Kylo has done, like slaughtering countless civilians and rebel soldiers? I don't think so. The other issue at play with the story is that it's so rushed it never takes any time to breathe. There are numerous plot points and story developments that are brought up and then almost immediately resolved in the next scene. About halfway into the film, the main characters have to find a droid smith named Babu Frick on the planet Kijimi in order to rewire C-3PO so he can interpret the text on the Sith blade. Before they arrive, Poe brings up his shady past as a spice smuggler that led to him crossing some people on this planet. After they get there, Poe is immediately confronted by an old associate named Zori who points a gun to his head. 5 minutes later, after she gets beat up by Rey, Zori helps them not only find Babu Frick, but also gives them a very valuable medallion that grants them access to Kylo Ren's ship. Like, I guess we're not going to do anything interesting with this new character. What's even weirder than that is sometimes the film just never resolves other things. There's a scene where Finn, Poe, and Rey are sinking in quicksand, and before they fully submerge, Finn says he needs to tell Rey something. They all end up surviving, but Finn never tells Rey what he was going to say. This seems like an unfortunately fitting moment for a character like Finn, and so many others honestly, who were never given much of an arc in this saga. You know, the prequels are really bad and have a ton of issues, but at least they flow from beginning to end with some kind of consistency. This saga just didn't go anywhere, and it's a super disappointing ending for a trilogy that could have done so much. I'm gonna give The Rise of Skywalker a 1.5 out of 5. Given how well The Mandalorian is done, I'm hoping that Star Wars sticks with the TV show format, which I think allows the needed time to develop this universe and these characters. But thanks for watching this video, guys. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you thought about this film in the comment section below. Leave a recommendation while you're down there on a film or subject that I should review next. Hit the like button if you like this video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. Stay healthy and well, and I will see you in the next video. Take it easy. Bye.